Good morning, everybody. It is day 35 of the suffering. It is the end of week 5. Tomorrow, we start our first day of week 6 on this program or this fitness journey. And today, I am officially down 20 pounds since I started this. In 5 weeks, I've lost 20 pounds. I'm down another 2 pounds today from where I was last Sunday. So that is a consecutive weight loss over these last 5 weeks, about 2 pounds ish. Well, the first week it was a dramatic drop off because of all the water weight, but now it's slowed down to about 2 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds a week is what I've been losing on average, and that's fantastic. So my weight this morning was 215 pounds. So we started off at 235 and now we're at 215. So hopefully I have as well. It's not really 6. This last Thursday put me at 7 weeks out from my end date. So this coming up Thursday will put me at 6 weeks. So I got a few more, like 6.5 weeks left. So if I continuously lose 2 pounds a week every single week for the next, let's just say 6 weeks, that will put me down another 12 pounds. And hopefully with where my body fat levels are at, if y'all watch the posing videos, y'all can see, and hopefully it shows up on camera and the lighting and everything like that with the exposure, you can tell how much leaner I am from today, from the day one of this. Unfortunately, I didn't do any posing on my first week, and now I kind of regret it. I really wish I would have done some posing routines from day one till now. But if you watch the very first video till you watch this last Saturday's video, Friday technically, but Saturday release Saturday's video, you can see how much leaner I am in the face, the stomach, arms, everywhere. It's just a dramatic difference. So hopefully 12 more pounds, losing 2 pounds a week, will get me where I need to be for my actual weight loss goals, and I can hit my my goal of getting my abs completely out. But we'll see. It's still 6 weeks away, 6.5 weeks away, and I still got a lot of fat to go. But the biggest thing I've noticed this week from last week is my love handle and my lower back fat has gone down dramatically. I haven't really lost anything off my stomach this week. Haven't really noticed any difference in my stomach or my abdominal. A little bit on the bottom, it looks a little flatter below my navel. But the main spot that looks like I lose most of my fat this week was around my lower back and my hips, which is great because that area has been a trouble area for a minute. But the lower back fat is coming down, which means my total waistline is shrinking, which is making my waist appear smaller, which is making my back appear wider, which is great. And I still need to lose a lot of the upper back fat. So I am going to do a little bit of yoga this morning, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I'm doing for my knee and my hip, because I've talked about it a bunch. I hurt my knee back in October. It went back and it popped coming back forward, and it swelled up on me real bad. I had trouble walking for about a week or two. I didn't go to the doctor for it, but it flares up every now and then and swells up real bad, and it hurts me. And then I was doing squats, and something in my knee kind of went a little wonky, and it caused something in my hip to also shift. And then I got sciatica in my hip because of my knee, and I shifted and I tweaked something in my back. So I have been doing yoga to help alleviate my knee and my hip, mainly my hip, but also it's been helping my knee too. So I'm going to kind of show you guys a little bit of what I'm doing. I'm not a yoga instructor. I'm not a yoga professional. I don't do yoga like hardcore crazy, but this might help other people out there that's having issues with their knees and their back. So I'm going to do this quick little thing for you guys that might be in the same boat that I'm in. As we get older, we only become less efficient at movement unless we stay up with it religiously every single day. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll get down into this position right here, and I'll just kind of flex my back. I'll turn this way so y'all can see. And I'll just kind of like let my back sink down, and then I'll just kind of arch it back up. And I'll do this for about maybe 2 breaths, and I'll come down here for about 2 breaths. And you can see I don't have an arch in my back. It's barely even flat. It's just my lower back is so stiff. So then I'll do this right here, and then from here, I'll get on my feet, and I'll slowly come back to sit down on my feet, taking my time because this puts a lot of pressure on my knee. And then once I get down into this position here, I'll sit here and breathe for a little bit. because this stretches the tibialis in the front of the shins and the ankles really aggressively, and it puts a lot of pressure on my knee. And then from this position, after a couple breaths, I'm feeling pretty loose today, so I'm gonna move through this pretty quick. And then I'll come and I'll sit up to this position and put all my weight on my feet, on my ankles, and my heels. And this will put a severe amount of pressure through my knee and through my quad, and I can feel it up into my hip adductor. And I'll breathe like this for 5, 6, 10 breaths, however many times it takes for this to calm down. If I can't handle it because there's too much pressure, I'll come to this position, then I'll immediately move out of it back to here, and then I'll move my hips again, and then I'll come back down into this position and sink a little bit lower, and then I'll come back out of it, and then I'll sink a little bit lower, and I'll come back out of it, then I'll sink a little bit lower, over and over and over again until I can until I can finally sit on my heels. And then once I sit on my heels, I'll sit on it till it's unbearable. Then I'll come back out and then go back in, then come back out and then go back in until I can finally sit down on my heels and hold this position here in an upright with a flat back, as flat as you can get it. And then once I get this position, I'll put my left knee, my left hand on my right knee, and then on the hip, and then I'll twist in two, and then I'll look up, kind of stretch everything on the left side. Hold this 2-3 breaths, switch sides. Hold this 2-3 breaths, switch sides, and I'll do this a few times. Once I get done with this, I'll come back up into this position here. I can't stretch it there. So I'll come back in here. I'll do this again a couple breaths, do this a couple breaths. And then I'll stretch out this way. And then I'll stretch out this way, which this side's a lot stiffer. And then I'll come back up. From here, I'll go into upward dog, which is basically just being on the top of your feet in upward position. Look up. I'll hold this and let my pelvis sink all the way to the floor as deep as it can go. And then I'll look to one side, stretching the neck. Look to the other side, stretching the neck. And then I'll go into downward dog. And then I'll hold here 3-4 breaths. And then I'll get onto one foot and I'll pedal up the other one, stretch that hip, that hamstring, and that quad, that calf. And I'll come into this side and pedal to the, and then I'll hold this for a few breaths, and I'll come back, then I'll pedal, then I'll come back and I'll pedal, and then I'll do both. Then I'll come back into upward dog. I'll sit here for a couple of breaths. And then from here, I'll come back onto my knees, stretch back up tall, and then I'll start coming backwards. And I like the couch behind me because I can't get all the way back yet, but I can lean on the couch, stretching everything in here. And then I lift up, stretching the quad really aggressively and really hard. Hold this for a few deep breaths. And then I come back out. I use the couch to get back up because I'm not good enough to be able to flex all the way back down. I'll stretch again here. I'll stretch again here. And everything I do, every movement I do, I'll take at least 2 to 3 breaths in each position. I'll come back into upward dog. And then I'll go back into downward dog. And then now with this right here, what I'll do, and this time I'll pick up one leg. And my hip just popped. That felt really good. Hold it 2-3 breaths. I'll bring it through. Hold it 2 or 3 breaths. Bring it back up. Hold it 2 or 3 breaths. Bring it back through. Hold it 2 or 3 breaths. Bring it back through. And then switch sides. Bring it up. Come through. Bring it up. Come through. Bring it up. Come back through. Okay, now from here, I'm going to push all the way up into a deep hamstring, stiff, rounded back hamstring stretch. And I'll just hang here. Every breath sinking deeper and deeper into it.
And then I'll ragdoll out of it.
All right, now I'm back in a standing position. Now from here, I'm going to widen up my feet, keep my back as flat as possible. I keep my back as flat, and I keep my feet pointing straight as I can. And then I'll push my hips back, keeping my back flat as much as I can. And then I'll hold my arms out here, and I'll try to keep my back flat. And with every breath, I'll try to sink down a little bit further. On the exhale. Every breath, I try to get just a little bit lower until it's uncomfortably comfortable. Then once I'm down there, I'll hold it about 4 or 5 breaths. Once I stop moving, see, I'm not sink any lower on that breath. And I'll hold it here for a few more seconds, and then I will come back up. And then, well, the fan's in the way here, but then I'll side stretch this hip. Turn right this way, so you can see. I'll side stretch on this hip. I'll side stretch on this hip. 2-3 breaths for each side. And if you guys want, y'all could put this on negative speed. Slow this down to like 0.0, 0.2. Instead of speeding it up, slow it down. And I'll actually probably put it at the pace that I normally move at. If not, maybe a little bit faster. Okay. And then from here, I sink back down, but I don't put my arms. I push my back flat and push my hips. And then when I get to this position where I stopped last time, I round my back. And then I allow it to sit, allow it to bend, keeping my knees as straight as I can. And then I'll leave my arms on the ground at first. A couple breaths. And then I'll bring my arms up here, get them off the ground, and really let the weight of my arms pull my back and my hamstrings. And then I'll softly just start shifting from side to side, very slowly, very softly, side to side, side to side. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it really deep in your lower back, in your hips, especially if the one is tighter than the other. You're going to find out really quickly. And if you breathe deep when you do these and exhale slowly, and then sink deeper and deeper into that stretch every time you exhale. Okay, and then after this, we'll use our hands to stabilize us. Then I'll bend my knees forward. Then I'll walk it out. And then I'll bring my feet back down into this position here. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go back into this position very slowly, as many times as it takes, coming backwards and forwards to get comfortable enough to sit onto your hips. Oh, so sit onto your knees, like in this position here. Now we're opened up. Now from here, we have the room to be able to come down and stretch out with your head down. Now from this position, what I like to do here is I like to bring my head up, and I like to move forward, keeping my knees where they are, my feet spreading. Oh, my hip just popped right there really well. And I like to come down on it, keeping my feet together and then my knees spread out. And then I like to come up into upward dog on my knees with my feet together, knees on the ground, pelvis pushed to the floor, upward dog. And this right here, you're going to feel in your hips, incredibly aggressive. And then I will come back down, and then I'll try to push back out into this position here, sinking deeper down, pushing my hands forward out in front of me, stretching my back. And then I'll come back up in this position here. I'll take a deep breath. assess how everything feels. And then I'll go back down into it. I'll come back down. And then I'll re-stretch back out, sliding forward. And then, oh, my hip just popped again. Oh, that felt so good. And as the pelvis is pushing down to the floor, the knees are pushing out to the sides. I don't know if y'all can see how my lower body is or not, but my feet are together, my knees are out to the sides, my legs are bent. And then we'll come back down and then try to push back up. And now from this position here, we're going to get on the balls of our feet and we're going to push back up onto our feet, heels slightly touching or not. It's fine, whatever's comfortable for you. And then we're going to try to flatten the back and arch it. Use your hands to stabilize yourself. Put your elbows on your knees and then push your hips open. And then just try to arch your back as much as you can. And then just push your hips open as wide as you can with your elbows. That's whatever's comfortable with you. And then I'll let go. I'll bring my feet together, or my knees together. I'll widen out my stance now. And now I'm going to sit back onto my feet, put my elbows onto my knees, push my hips out. And I'm going to breathe here until it becomes comfortable, getting the heels on the ground. And then I'm going to side shift onto one leg, stretching the calf and the hip. Then I'm going to side shift to the other leg, stretching the calf and the hip and the quad. And then I'm going to side shift back to the other side. And now I'm going to sit back into it, and I'm going to really try to crank my knees open with my elbows, using to assist, trying to keep the back flat, not letting it round. It's going to round, but you're trying to keep it flat, trying to arch your lower back and push your pelvis back. You're not trying to let your pelvis round forward. You're trying to push the pelvis back. Okay, now from here, I'll bring my knees in, and then I'll stand up. Bring my feet back together, straighten my legs, go back into a nice, deep, rounded back hamstring stretch. Every breath sinking lower and lower and deeper. And then from here, what I'm going to do after about 5 breaths, I'm going to bring this knee forward, shift all my weight onto here, and try to sink down onto that hip real hard. Really, really hard. I'm going to turn this way so maybe you guys can see it better. And then I'll straighten this one, bend this one, sink down on that hip. Couple breaths. Straighten this leg back out. And then reverse it to this side and sink it down. And every breath, try to get a little deeper of a stretch and relax. And then I'm going to come back to both of them. And then I'm going to switch it back to this one and sink down a little bit deeper with each breath, about doing like 4 to 5 breaths possibly on each side. Okay. And then I'm going to switch back to this side right here. And then do both of them. And then we're going to ragdoll out of this. Oh, okay. Whew. Now, after that part's done, what I'll do is, let me see which position I want to lay in here. Okay, I'll lay this way. Okay. After that's done, I'm just going to lay flat on my back because I don't really know how to transition. I haven't really found a good way to transition. I'll bring my feet as close as I can comfortably to my my ankles to my hips as close as I can. And then from here, I'm going to glute bridge. I'm just going to press up as hard as I can, and then I'm going to hold this for about 3-4 breaths, and then I'm going to come down, and then I'm going to try to bring my feet in closer, and then I'm going to come back up, hold it 3-4 breaths, trying to push my hips as high as I can up and back to the ceiling, which is going to engage your lower back and your hips. And I'm going to do this as many times as it takes. And normally I can get my back to pop about 4 or 5 times. So when I mean as many times as it takes, I mean as many times as it takes for my back to, and hamstrings and hips and stabilizers, abductors, abs to get ready for the next part of this. Feel nice and warmed up and ready to go, and everything's engaging and everything's warm and tight. And then what I'm going to do, this is going to be a little offset because this is going to help strengthen up weak areas that aren't used to working on their own. Is I'm going to come up and pick one leg up, and then you're going to feel all the different muscles engage from your left to your right that don't normally have to work individually. And then you're going to feel it, and you're going to be like, oh goodness, wow, that's really. And the whole time try to keep this hip drove up. It's going to want to start dipping down because it's going to get weak, but keep it up. And don't use your hands to hold up. Keep it up, keep your leg straight, and then about 2 or 3 breaths, bring this leg down, come back down, give your back a break, come back up, and then we're going to do the other side. And you're going to keep this hip driven up, and you're going to feel everything in here working really hard, and then you're going to feel everything back here working really hard. And you're going to want to count the same amount of breaths, and if you can't hold it the same amount of time on one side as you can the other, then you obviously know you got some pretty good imbalances. And you're going to bring this one back down, and then you're going to come back to the floor. And then we're going to thrust up just together. And then we're going to come back down after about 2-3 breaths. And then we're going to breathe 2-3 times on the floor. And then we're going to come back up. And then we're going to switch. And we're going to hold this 2-3 breaths. And then we're going to come back down. My hips just popped right there. That felt really good. We're going to come back up. We're going to hold it back again, 2-3 breaths. Keeping the hips pushed up as high as we can, keeping the leg as straight as we can. And we're going to bring it back down. And there we go. Okay. Now, from this position here, I like to roll to my side. I'm going to come maybe here. Yeah. I like to roll to my side. And then I like to just do a side plank. Well, there's not enough room for me to do it like that, so I got to come this way. Okay. I hold a side plank. About 2-3 breaths. And I'll come back down. And then I'll come back up to a side breath. 2-3 breaths. And then I'll try to pick my leg up. And I can't do it very long or very high. It's pretty pathetic. And then I'll come back down. Whew, that is tough. Okay, I want to do it one more time. I want to come back up to side plank. Hold this position. Hold it. Bring this leg up. And then back down. That is really, really tough. I'm going to flip over to the other side. Side plank. Back down. The shoulder kind of bothers me to get on it. Side plank. And then back down. Back down. This is really, really tough to do this. It's one I've been working on. Up. Side plank. Pick your leg up. Leg back down. Whew. And then from there, I'll reverse out. Coming up to here, and then I have my coffee table in here to help me stand up from this position. And that is it. I might go through it 2 or 3 times. If there's a certain movement that I feel a deeper stretch than the other movement, I will stay in that position. So there is no amount of time that you need to do a certain movement for, and there's no duration limit. So if you're in a position and you feel a deep stretch, stay in that position longer, breathe through it longer, sink down into it longer. If you're in another position and it's uncomfortable and it hurts, don't hang there long. Just get the movement in and get out. Get the movement in and get out. If it's a comfortable pain, if it's like a sharp, stabbing, agonizing, hurting pain, don't do that one. Switch that out, or don't do it. Avoid it, and then work into it down the road whenever it starts to loosen up and you can get into that position. Because to be able to sit back onto my feet, because my knee, the first time I couldn't even get into it. I would literally, the first couple times, I would have to come back to here and stop, and then I had to come back up, and then I'd get to about right here and I'd stop, and I couldn't go any further back than this. I could not sit back, and I couldn't sit all the way back either. So that's something I had to work at to be able to sit back onto my feet. It didn't happen. I would do upward dog to stretch the tibialis, and doing that a couple of days allowed me to be able to sit further and further back into that position. So finally I got that good deep stretch. I couldn't lean back and I couldn't lift up either when I was in that position. It took me days to be able to get to even to where I am right now on that. So remember, you're going to build into all these stretches. You're going to build into all these, but I don't do them perfect. I don't even do them close to perfect. I have a lot of imperfections and a lot of stiff movements that I'm doing with this. But every time I do it, I'm getting more and more flexible, and I'm getting more and more comfortable into those positions, into those deeper stretches. And this really helps my knee, and it really helps my sciatic. Like I told y'all so many times, oh, my hip pop, my hip pop, my hip pop, my lower back pop. I thought I was loosened up this morning, but I wasn't as much as I thought I was. And my hips feel great. And even as fast as I move through it right here, you can move through it just as fast as I move through it right here, and you're still going to feel really good, and you're going to get a lot of benefits from it. You don't have to spend an hour doing it. You can make it an 8-minute routine, a 10-minute routine. Just get into each movement, breathe once, move, breathe once, move, breathe once, move, and just move through it quickly. And then next time, breathe 2 times in each position, and then 3 times in each position, and 4 times in each position. Or you can breathe 1 time through certain positions you don't really feel you need. And then you can breathe 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 times in positions you feel like this is what I really need right here, because this is my problem to loosen up. So yoga, it's there's no one way, right way, wrong way. I don't think, from all the videos I've watched, all the instructors I've listened to, and all the research that I did on it. Every class is different. Every instructor is different. Every form of yoga is different. Some people like the warrior 1, warrior 2, warrior 3 open chest twist, but that hurt my groin, hip, back in here. Something popped, and that hurt really, really bad. It took me a week for it to stop feeling it. So I don't do that stretch no more. The deep lunge stretches, those are great too, but I do lunges and I don't have issues with my lunges. I have issues with this back here. So to me, the way I do lunges, it's like, that lunge pose, I don't really feel like I need to add it into my yoga, because that's already something I'm doing in my routine while I'm working out, and I feel fine doing it. So it's all the other weird little movements that I don't do, that I want to do, that need to be incorporated for stretching and strengthening up those little muscles, like doing the downward dog, pushing the hip back, putting the leg up and then pulling it through, doing the glute bridge, lifting up the legs individual, doing the side planks. Those are hard. Those are so hard. Even just picking up my leg those few little inches just twice, I couldn't do that a week or 2 ago. I couldn't even separate my legs, and now I can get into that side plank, and then I could pick my leg up a little bit. My goal is to be able to get into a side plank and be able to open my leg up all the way, hold it 2 to 3 breaths, and then bring it back down, and then switch sides. Side plank, getting my leg open, hold it 2 to 3 breaths. That's what my goal is on those right now, but they are very difficult to do. When you do it, you feel everything in here just light up really hard. Well, the leg that's down, you'll feel it all through here, trying to stabilize and hold. And this one, you're going to feel it in the head. It's just a crazy feel. It's amazing how weak all that is on me. And that right there tells me exactly, like, hey, look, these are weak areas that need to be brought up. And I don't know if that's even a position that is I identifier of weak areas or not, or if it's just a son of a gun to do. But I'm going to do it because it's something I feel I'm weak at, and I want to get better at that position and that hold. But the only problem is this shoulder, my left shoulder, when I go into that side plank, I have to figure out where to put my shoulder exactly to load it with the weight pushing up into the joint, because I'll get a sharp pain in the shoulder. So it bothers me on this side. It kind of messes up my rhythm on this one. But once I find that little spot where I can sink into it, I'm fine. So, I mean, not everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to have to work around things and through things and stuff like that. But I'm getting better from the yoga. My back does not bother me anymore at all. Besides regular stiffness, my back does not bother me at all whatsoever. It feels absolutely wonderful. So, that's going to be it for this part of the yoga deal. So, let me see how the rest of my day goes, and if I get any more footage, I'm pretty sure I will. So we got to go to the grocery store, and then I got to cook all my food and get ready for the week. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about when I say how I cook my chicken, because I know I get a lot of comments like, why do you do it that way? Why are you suffering? You can add seasoning, you can add flavor. Why? You don't have to be this extreme. You don't have to suffer. Doesn't make any sense. Guys, I've said it time and time again. I hate chicken breast. I don't care who cooks it. It could be Gordon Ramsay himself. Like, I don't like chicken breast. It's the texture. Like, the flavor of the chicken is fine. Like, I don't need any seasonings or herbs or anything on my chicken to make it enjoyable, because I think the taste of chicken is good, because it's like, what's it taste like? It tastes like chicken. What's the flavor? It's chicken flavor. The flavor of chicken itself is delicious. So, no seasonings, no salts, no nothing like that, no herbs or spices like rosemary and all lemon pepper. I don't need none of that, right? A little bit of salt, my chicken's fine. Whether I grill it, cook it, whatever. If it's a dark meat, right? Thighs, wings, drumsticks, whatever. But when it comes to the breast, it's just a dry tissue. I just don't like it. I don't care how you cook it. Freshly cooked right out of the oven, right off the grill, marinated with like cooked with an absolute perfect temperature is fine. I will eat it, but I'm never going to order it, and I'm never going to make it myself. If I go somewhere and that's all they have to eat, like at a barbecue or something, for whatever reason, whatever sorry, lousy barbecue you go to, and all they're serving is chicken breast, God forbid, leave there immediately. But if that's the case and it's coming off perfect, I'll eat it, right? Maybe. Anyways, enough of that. So here's what I do, because I'm not going to spend any time. And here's the kicker: if you cook the chicken breast fresh right off the skillet into your mouth, it's not so bad. But once you refrigerate it and you reheat it, I don't care. I've even tried undercooking it by 5 degrees, where it's a little pink. So that way, when I reheated it, it would finish cooking it in the microwave to make it enjoyable and to be tender and juicy. It doesn't matter. It still sucks no matter what. It always sucks. Always sucks. The only way that I found that it held tender the next day is if you cut it into strips long ways. You take a mallet, you beat the crap out of it, and then you soak in olive oil and vinegar with some type of spice and herb, and then you undercook it by about 4 or 5 degrees, so when you reheat it the next day, it comes out okay-ish. But still, even then, that flavor, that seasoning, and that herbs and whatever else you put on there, it wears off really quickly to me, and it's just like, man, I don't even like this flavor no more. And the flavor becomes unpalatable. The flavor becomes gross. So I just don't like the flavor. So I can eat bland chicken every day, all day, and I'll be fine, because the flavor isn't the problem. It's the texture. So let me get to this. That's enough rambling. Let me get to this. So I literally was not joking when I said how I prep my chicken, because I don't want to put any time or effort into cooking this chicken when I'm not going to enjoy it anyways. Take it. Into the pot it goes. Throw that one away. Take my next one. Tear it open. Into the pot it goes. Into the pot it goes. Now, we'll take it, put it in the sink, and we'll add some water. We got the water added. Now we put the chicken on the stove. We're going to put it on high for about 10 minutes. That way we get the water warm-ish, and then I'm going to switch it over to another burner, put it on like medium, between medium and low, medium high, medium low, right, medium low is what we're going to put it on, and then I'm going to let that cook until pretty much the chicken starts to fall apart. And that's what I'm doing. I actually got a suggestion for somebody. One of my comments, I can't remember his name. Sorry about not remembering your name. I'd like to thank you for this comment. You said to bring it to a boil, then turn it down to low heat and let it simmer for an hour and pull it off and it's tender. So I might actually give that a go on this time. And I actually might try that out, and I'll let you know how it turns out. If I feel like it's cooked through enough, well, I'm sure it will be. If not, I'll continue to let it cook long enough to be able to break it down. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. I got my rice cooking. I got my chicken cooking. So once this is done, we're going to put it together, prep it for tomorrow, and that's going to be it for that. I'm going to continue eating my food like I'm supposed to eat today, and no workout, no cardio, just going to relax and rest. And I have some family coming over, so that's going to be a pretty enjoyable day to spend some time with some family I haven't seen in a while. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope the yoga was helpful, and I hope this clears up a little of the dilemma of why I cook it the way I cook, because now I can set a timer for 10 minutes and it beeps and I turn it down, and then I can set another timer for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, however long, and then return to it whenever I feel it's ready, and then drain it, and that's it. It's done. Super simple, super easy. But anyways, ending the video here. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.